It's a condition that affects millions of women worldwide, yet it remains misunderstood, misdiagnosed, and even dismissed. Endometriosis can cause excruciating pain, fertility challenges, and a lifetime of unanswered questions. March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, and tomorrow is Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore's 4th annual Go Yellow for Endo Day. And Shannon Hannawald is the founder of the Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore. She joins us this afternoon. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much for having me back.
So, you've been on the show before, but for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about your journey with endometriosis?
Yes. So when I was 15, I started having horrible menstrual cycles. The pain was unbearable. And my parents kept taking me to the emergency room and to the doctors, and they kept doing ultrasounds and CAT scans and MRIs, and nothing was showing up. So they basically told my parents that I was lying because I wanted to get out of school. When I was 17, I attempted to commit suicide because I was at the point where nobody was listening to me, and I really didn't see any other way out of it than to do that. It isn't anything that I would wish on anyone to have those feelings, like you have no other option. Then I finally found a doctor that would listen to me, and he did the first of my 19 surgeries, and I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis, and I have had a lot of issues since then. We had to go through fertility treatments for my son. We lost a baby before we had my youngest son. And it has become something that I'm very passionate about because I don't want any other young girls to go through what I and so many other women have. Endometriosis can take over all of the organs in your pelvic cavity, and because it takes an average of 10 years to receive a diagnosis, it most times will take over the women's all of their reproductive organs, and they are not able to have children.
So, I am so sorry you had to go through that. So what is endometriosis? You say it takes over organs, but what is actually happening?
So endometriosis is a thickening of the lining of the uterus, and it's basically when that tissue grows outside of the uterus, and it can grow on all of your other organs. It can take over every organ in your pelvic cavity. It can also take over your intestines, your colon, and most recently it's been found in the lungs and the brain. So it is something that never goes away, but it can only be diagnosed through laparoscopic surgery.
And you were able to have children, but
Yes.
that's not always the case, is it?
No, there are so many women that are not able to have children because of the endometriosis, and because it takes so long to diagnose, by the time that they figure it out, there's no hope. They can't go in and remove it and still have their uterus and their fallopian tubes and their ovaries are completely damaged, and they're unable to have children because there's not enough education.
Right. So you created Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore. Tell me
Yes.
about that.
So about 5 years ago, one of my nieces started having issues, and her doctors were dismissing her. And I've always been very open about endometriosis, but when that happened, I kind of was like, we're going to do something about this. I'm not going to allow this to happen to you. And I got with one of my best friends, and we came up with the name Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore. And I kind of started, it was just an advocacy and support group, and I started getting proclamations from towns and counties all over the Eastern Shore, and I would go and speak at their meetings, and it kind of blew up from there. I didn't expect it to as much as it did, but there's so many women that have it and they don't want to discuss it because it is a quote-unquote women's issue and it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it is important that we talk about it because it affects 1 in 10 women. And I've had doctors in the emergency room tell me that they get 30 minutes of education on it in medical school, which makes no sense to me because if there are 200 million women worldwide that have it and 1 in 10 women have it, then why are you only getting 30 minutes of education on it?
Right. And then tomorrow it is Go Yellow for Endometriosis.
Yes. So 4 years ago, I decided all of March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. And I said, I want to do something to make a statement during that month. So I said, we're going to have a Go Yellow for Endo Day. And then that kind of blew up also, and it has become a huge thing. We have so many businesses, the counties, the towns participate. Caroline County Public Schools actually they sent out a flyer to every student in the school system. All of their employees participate. We would be here all day if I told you all of the companies that participate, but thankfully I think it is finally showing women that they're not alone in this battle, and that is a huge deal because they know that they don't have to be where I was, because there is someone listening and there are people here to advocate for you and to help you through this process.
Shannon, I think it's wonderful that you are using your journey to help others, and good luck with that. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me again.
We'll be right back.